Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn the ECG basics. So let us start. First we should know what is electrocardiogram and what is electrocardiograph. So for this you have to remember one mnemonic, that is MP. Okay, what is MP? M is gram and P is paper. Okay. So electrocardiogram is the paper strip or the recordings that is coming out of the ECG device. Okay, so electrocardiogram is the paper or electrocardiograph is the machine itself. Okay. Now next we need to learn very important basic thing, that is what is a lead and what is an electrode. Okay, so let us discuss first what is an electrode. An electrode is a metallic terminal that receives electricity and transmits electricity. Okay, so electrode, when attached to a particular surface, it receives electricity and it can transmit electricity as well. On the other hand, what is lead? Lead is a pair of electrode, that is two electrodes constitute a lead. Okay, so lead is a pair of electrode and an electrode is a metallic terminal which receives and transmits electricity, right? In all electrophysiological investigations we use lead and electrode, and ECG is one of the very important and basic electrophysiological investigation. Now in ECG lead we will learn some bipolar lead and some unipolar lead. Traditionally we call these leads bipolar or unipolar, but do you think a lead can be unipolar? Because I have already told you that a lead is a pair of electrode. That means a lead must be having two electrode. That means a lead has two poles. Okay, so if point A is an electrode, point B is an electrode, if I connect these 2 points and I keep a voltmeter in between, that constitute a lead, and the lead measures the potential difference between point A and point B. So a lead is always bipolar, but traditionally in ECG all the chest lead we call them unipolar leads, but they are also bipolar lead. So unipolar lead, this term may be a misnomer. Now next thing is, let us make an ECG machine. Okay, it may seem weird thing but not really. If we can collect some wires, just simple wires, just simple copper wires that we use in our household electricity wiring, we can constitute and we can form an ECG machine. Okay, so how to do it? So let us, we have taken some wires. Okay, now next, at the center position we have our heart, and this is the right arm of the patient, this is the left arm of the patient, and this is the left foot of the patient, right? Now I have already told you that a lead is a pair of electrode, right? If we connect two electrode and connect them with a voltmeter, that will form a lead. Okay, so if I connect right arm and left arm by some copper wire, right, in this way, and if I connect it with a voltmeter, so it will constitute lead 1. So lead 1 basically measures potential difference between right arm and left arm. Okay, now if I connect left arm and left foot by 2 copper wires and connect them with a voltmeter, then it constitutes lead 3, right? In the same way, if I connect right arm and left foot and place a voltmeter in between, it constitutes lead 3. So these are the basic leads, lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3, right? So from this diagram we can say that lead 1 is basically measuring the potential difference between right arm and left arm. Lead 2 is measuring potential difference between right arm and left foot. Lead 3 is measuring potential difference between left arm and left foot. Okay. Now we have another sets of lead and we call them augmented limb leads, and these augmented limb leads are AVR, AVL and AVF. These are called augmented limb leads, and you already know by now that a lead is a pair of electrode. So these AVR, AVL, AVF, they must be some lead with a pair of electrode, right? So let us see how these AVR, AVL and AVF are formed. For this, let me a diagram again. So this is RA, this is LA and this is LF, right? Now here to make AVR, first we will take two wires. First we will take two wires and we will join together the wire that is coming from LA and LF, and we will make a terminal, right? And we will make another terminal that is coming from RA, and if we connect a voltmeter in between, it will constitute lead AVR. Okay, so from this diagram we can say that AVR is equal to RA minus LA plus LF by 2. So this is the formula for AVR. In the same way, AVF is equal to LF minus RA plus LA by 2, and AVL is equal to LA minus RA plus LF by 2. So these are the simple formula for AVR, AVL and AVF, right? Now next, see the direction of all these leads. I have already told you what is lead 1. This is lead 1, and the direction of lead 1 is from RA to LA. Okay, and this is your lead 3, and the direction of lead 3 is from LA to LL, and this one is lead 2 and its direction is from RA to LL. Okay, so if we now draw parallel lines, from the center, if we drew parallel lines from the center, parallel lines with lead 1, then it will be in that direction. If we draw parallel line for lead 2, it will be in this direction, and if we draw parallel line with lead 3, it will be in this direction. Okay, now you have got directions of all the leads that are located in the frontal plane or the coronal plane. Okay, so the direction of lead 1 is 0 degree. This is lead 1 now, this is lead 3 now, and this is lead 2 now. Okay, so this is lead 1 which is at 0 degree, this is lead 2 which is at 60 degree, and this is AVF which is at 90 degree, this is lead 3 which is at 100, which is at 120 degree, and this one is at 150 degree, right? Again see this picture. So lead 1 is at 0 degree, at 60 degree is lead 2, at 90 degree AVF, lead 3 is at 120 degree, and lead AVR is minus 150 degree, lead AVL is minus 130 degree. Okay, so from 0 degree if we move in this direction it will be negative, from 0 degree if we move downwards direction it is positive, right? Okay, now we know the direction of all the leads. Now what do I mean with this direction of all these leads? It is that whenever a current will pass towards the direction of a lead, it will record a positive deflection. Say for an example, if I pass a current along the direction of lead 2, if I pass a current along the direction of lead 2, say in this direction, along the direction of lead 2, if I pass a current, then lead 2 will record a positive deflection. Okay, lead 2 will record a positive deflection. But as this current is moving away from lead AVR, it will record a negative deflection. Now you see the current is passing along the direction of lead 2. What will be recorded in lead 3? See, the current is neither passing towards lead 3 nor it is moving away from lead 3. So it will record positive and negative deflection as well, right? So this is the purpose of the direction of a lead. Now we will discuss this thing, that how the direction of an electrical vector matters to a lead. We'll come to it. Okay, so before that we will see the augmentation for a lead. Okay, so what is augmentation? We have already discussed augmented leads. These are augmented leads. Okay, AVR, AVL and AVF, and by now you know that AVR records the potential difference between RA and LA plus LF by 2. Okay, LL is also called LF. Okay, so this is AVR or augmented limb lead. Now why do we call it augmented limb lead? So let us see the explanation. So when ECG machine was discovered, then or invented, when ECG machine was invented, then there was no word such augmentation. Then we had leads called VR, VL and VF. Okay, so what is VR? Now we know that AVR, if this point is RA, this point is LA and this point is LA, you know that AVR is equal to RA minus LA plus LF by 2. This is the formula for AVR. Now what is VR? That is non-augmented VR. Okay, this one is augmented VR. What is VR? VR is basically VR is equal to RA minus RA plus LA plus LF by 2. So what does it mean? So we will put a wire here. make a terminal, and we will make another terminal connecting all 3 points, connecting all 3 points. Okay, now we will put voltmeter with this terminal, with these 2 terminals, right? So you can see that VR, it is measuring potential difference between the point RA and combined RA, LA and LF, right? So VR is equal to RA minus RA plus LA plus LF by 3, right? Okay. Now, according to Einthoven's formula, in an equilateral triangle, if we put charges here, Q1, Q2 and Q3, and if we connect all the 3 charges, the potential at the center becomes 0, right? So here in the formula of VR, we can write VR is equal to RA minus 0 by 3 is equal to RA. Okay, so VR is equal to RA, right? VR is equal to RA. Now let us see VR is equal to RA and AVR is equal to RA minus LA plus LF by 2, correct? I'm again drawing the picture. So this one is RA, this one is LA and this one is LF. So AVR is equal to RA minus RA plus LA plus LF minus RA. We can write in this way, right? So we know that RA plus LA plus LF is equal to 0. So RA minus 0 minus RA by 2 is equal to RA minus RA by 2, that is 3 by 2 RA. So 3 by 2 is the augmentation. Okay, so VR is equal to RA and AVR is equal to 3 by 2 RA, right? Okay, so the augmentation is 1.5 times, that is 3 by 2. Now let us see the chest leads. Let us see the chest leads. The chest leads are oriented in a transverse plane. Okay, chest leads are oriented in a transverse plane. Chest leads are from V1 to V6, right? As in the frontal plane or coronal plane, you have already seen that whenever a vector moves towards the direction of a lead, the lead will give positive deflection. Here also the same thing in the transverse plane. If a vector it moves towards V1, if a vector moves towards V1, then it will give positive deflection in V1 and it will give negative deflection in V6, and in between V4 and V6 it will give somewhat positive and somewhat negative deflection, right? Okay, so let us build the concept very clearly. So we have 5 doctors over here, okay, and a car is moving, and the moving car is running towards the direction of Dr. Manvir, and it is moving away from Dr. Ayan, right? And for Dr. Nasser, the car is neither moving away from him or it is coming towards him, right? So if you compare this car, with an electrical vector or action potential, if you consider this car as passing electricity, okay, if you consider this car as a passing electricity, then if all the doctors they are recording the deflection due to this moving car or the moving electricity. So as the car is moving towards Dr. Manveer, so Dr. Manveer will record a positive deflection and Dr. Ayan will receive a negative deflection, right? And for Dr. Nasser, the car is neither coming to him or not moving away from him. So Dr. Nasser will record some positive and some negative, 50% positive and 50% negative deflection. Dr. Sania will record more positive deflection than negative deflection, okay, and Dr. Divya, she will record less positive deflection and more negative deflection, right? So same thing happens in case of ECG leads. See, if a vector is moving in this direction or towards the direction of lead 2, it is giving positive deflection, and as it is moving away from lead AVR, it is giving mainly negative deflection, right? So with this concept, we are moving to the action potential part of cardiac myocytes and in the conducting tissues, right? So first see the action potential, that is called your fast response action potential in cardiac myocytes. So it has got 5 phases: 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5 phases. So in phase 4, it is along the resting membrane potential. Here in the y-axis is the voltage and in x-axis it is time, right? So in phase 4, it is along the resting membrane potential, which is minus 96 millivolt, and what are the channels that are operating? It is inward rectifier potassium channel. In phase 0, there is opening of voltage gated sodium channel and rapid entry of sodium inside the cell, so the cell is depolarized and it reaches up to plus 52 millivolt, and in phase 1, due to opening of transient outward potassium channel, voltage comes down, and in phase 2, 2 channels act simultaneously. One is L-type calcium channel and another is delayed rectifier potassium channel. So through the delayed rectifier potassium channel, potassium moves out, and through L-type calcium channel, calcium enters into the cell. So calcium in and potassium out, and these 2 currents together balances each other, so there is a play 2 in phase 2. In phase 3, potassium out continues, but calcium channels closed. Calcium channels are closed. As a result, the cell repolarizes. In phase 3. In phase 3, the channels which are working are inward rectifying, rapid delayed rectifier and slow delayed rectifier. Again, it comes back to phase 4 to maintain resting membrane potential, where inward rectifying potassium channels are working. And the duration of this whole action potential is 200 millisecond. Okay, 200 millisecond. Now let us see the action potential in SA node. What is happening in SA node? In SA node, we don't have phase 1 and phase 2. Okay, we don't have phase 1 and phase 2. We have phase 4, phase 0 and phase 3. Phase 4 or this 4 phase 4 or this part is called the pacemaker potential. What is pacemaker potential? All the rhythmically discharging cells maintains a potential difference that automatically reaches to threshold, and this potential is called pacemaker potential. Here in this SA node action potential, you can see phase 4 is the pacemaker potential. Okay, and you can see all the channels which are all the currents basically which are occurring throughout this action potential. In phase 4 you can see the L-type calcium channel, T-type calcium channel and IF current. These three currents are working. Okay, so calcium current and F current. What is F current? F current is also called funny current, or the channel is called funny current. Okay, the channel is called funny current. What is this channel basically? It is basically an HCN channel. What is HCN channel? HCN channel is hyperpolarization activated cyclic nucleotide gated channels. It is not specific for any cation. Sodium, potassium and calcium may enter through this channel. Okay, so if somebody asks you what is the main current that is responsible for pacemaker potential, the answer is IF or funny current. The channel is HCN channel or funny channel, right? In this context, I must say that a very important drug called ivabradine this drug, this new drug is being used for the management of cardiac failure, and this drug is an inhibitor of IF current. Okay, so with that knowledge we are moving to the conducting tissues. So impulse is generated from SA node, impulse is generated, then it moves towards the AV node, the upper part of the bundle of His, then left bundle branch, then right bundle branch, and ultimately the Purkinje fibers. So this is the basic network of the conducting tissues, and left bundle branch is also divided into anterior and posterior fascicles, right? So left bundle branch, it divides into anterior and posterior fascicles. Okay, now a very important part, that is the depolarizing vectors. Okay, so we know that there is spread of action potential from SA node to all the myocardiums within the heart, right? For the sake of our understanding, or we have divided, for the sake of our understanding, we have divided these vectors into 5 different vectors. Okay, 5 different vectors. So we have 5 different vectors throughout the heart that are operating to depolarize the whole heart, right? So this is the main thing, 5 vectors that are needed to depolarize the whole heart. Okay, so what are those 5 vectors, right? So first vector, I am drawing the heart. So first vector is this one, which is moving from SA node to AV node, and its purpose is to depolarize the atrium. Its purpose is to depolarize the atrium. So this is the first vector. So atrium is depolarized, the whole of the atria is depolarized by the first vector. Basically, the spread of action potential from SA node is through all directions. Okay, so through all directions, but the sum of this all these passing electricity is the vector number 1, right? Now let us see the second vector. As we have already seen that atria is already depolarized. Now I am not going to draw the atria. I will draw the ventricle alone. Okay, so I am drawing the ventricle. You know, left ventricular muscle mass is more. So this is the ventricle. Now the second vector is operating within the septum and from left to right. Okay, this is the second vector within the heart that is operating from left to right, and it is depolarizing the interventricular septum, right? Okay, now the third vector, we are going to draw the third vector. The third vector moves towards the apex. Third vector moves towards the apex and it depolarizes the apex and lower part of interventricular septum. Now we are going to draw the fourth vector. Fourth vector is basically depolarizing all the myometrium, the left ventricle and the right ventricle, but their resultant is oriented, the resultant vector is oriented slightly towards the left, as left ventricular muscle mass is more. Okay, so this is the fourth vector, and the fifth vector or the last vector is the vector that is depolarizing the posterobasal part, of the ventricular muscles. Okay, so the posterobasal part. Okay, now with that knowledge of depolarizing vector, let us explain the lead to QRS complex with the help of the vectors. So let us draw a big heart. Right? Okay. Now you know the first, before drawing the first vector, I am also drawing the orientation of lead 2. Okay, so this is the positive end, this is the negative end of lead 2, and this is the positive end of lead 2. Okay, so we are basically seeing lead 2. Now what will we do? So the first vector, you know, the first vector is moving in this direction. The atrial vector is moving in this direction, that is from SAN to AVN. This is the first vector. So it will give slight positive deflection in lead 2, right? Positive deflection is in lead 2, and it is your P wave. Okay, it is your P wave. So it is not like that, it is in this way. So it will give a positive deflection. Okay, now the second vector is this one that depolarizes the interventricular septum, and it will give a negative deflection, right? It will give a negative deflection as the vector is moving away, from lead 2, direction of lead 2, right? Now the third vector is this one, and the fourth vector is this one. Okay, so third and fourth vector will give all positive, or upward deflection in lead 2, and the last vector that depolarizes the posterobasal part, that is moving away from lead 2, it will give a negative deflection. Okay, so this is the Q, this is R, and this is S. So in this way you can see the how QRS complex is formed by your knowledge, by applying your knowledge on cardiac vectors. Now you can see single ECG complex PQRST. The PR interval is from start of the P wave to the beginning of the Q wave. It denotes the atrial depolarization plus AV nodal delay, that is the PR interval. And second is your QRS complex. QRS complex is from the beginning of Q to the end of S wave, and the QRS complex is ventricular depolarization. And lastly the QT interval. QT interval is basically depolarization plus repolarization, ventricular depolarization plus repolarization. And QRS complex duration is ventricular depolarization. So if you want to calculate ventricular repolarization, it will be is equal to QT minus QRS, correct? Okay. Now in the ECG paper, let us discuss the axis. This is your y-axis and this is your x-axis. Along the y-axis, a small square, it is equal to 0.1 millivolt, and along the x-axis, a small square, this line is equal to 0.04. So to calculate PR interval here, so from the start of the P wave to the beginning of Q, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 small squares, that is 6 into 0.04 second is equal to 0.24 second is the PR interval in this example. Okay, now let us see, or let us build our knowledge on bundle branch block with the help of vectors. Okay, so it will just solidify your knowledge on cardiac vectors. So we have SA node, and from SA node there is AV node, then the bundle of His, then the left bundle branch and the right bundle branch. Now block can be anywhere, block can be in left bundle branch or block can be in right bundle branch. So what will happen when this what will happen to these cardiac vectors when there is block in either left side or the right side? So let's see what is happening in right bundle branch block. What is happening in right bundle branch block? We will see the vectors that are operating within the ventricle only. The vectors that are operating within the ventricle only. So first vector that is operating within the ventricle is interseptal vector. So first let us draw the this is your bundle, his bundle, then this is the right and this one is the left bundle branch. Okay, now right bundle branch block matlab this is blocked, right? So there is no problem with the fast vector, because we know the fast vector is depolarizing the interventricular septum and the fast vector is this one. Okay, fast vector is this one that is moving from left to right, so there is no issue with this vector. Okay, and we know the position of V6 is in this direction and the position of V1 is in this direction. Okay, so you can see the fast vector, according to the fast vector, in V1 there will be a small negative deflection, and in V1 as the vector is moving towards V1, there will be a positive deflection, and in V6 there will be a negative deflection. Okay, so what is the next vector? So next vector is this one, next vector, that is depolarizing the apex and depolarizing the apex, this vector, and the vector that is depolarizing the cardiac muscle, mostly towards the left side, okay. So also there is no problem with this vector, as these two vectors are towards V6, there will be positive deflection in V6, and it will be negative deflection in V1, right? And as this right bundle is blocked, this right ventricle will not be depolarized initially. The dotted part, the right ventricle muscle, will not be depolarized initially. This part will not be depolarized initially, this dotted part. Normally, this dotted area is depolarized by this right bundle branch, but as the right bundle branch is blocked, it will not be depolarized directly. After depolarization of this left ventricle, the right ventricle will be depolarized not by the right bundle branch but by the cardiac myocytes, as the cardiac myocytes are coupled electrically with the gap junctions. So secondarily, this right ventricle will be depolarized later after the whole left ventricle is depolarized, okay. So finally the right ventricle will be depolarized, so we will get a vector here and it will give positive deflection in lead V1 and a negative deflection in lead V6, okay. So what is basically happening in right bundle branch block, we are getting M pattern in lead V1 and we are getting W pattern in lead V6. In the same way, in left bundle branch block, if you draw the vectors here, there will be problem with the initial vector, because as the left bundle branch is blocked, so this left to right will not happen, and instead of this left to right septal vector, the septal vector will be there but it will operate in opposite direction. The septal vector will operate in opposite direction towards V6, so be negative deflection in V6 and a positive deflection, negative deflection in V1 and a positive deflection in V6, correct? Now first, the right ventricle will be depolarized as the right bundle branch is okay. So right ventricle will be depolarized first, so there will be a positive deflection in lead V1, and after depolarization of right ventricle, left ventricle will be depolarized, and left ventricle will initially not be depolarized because the left bundle branch is blocked, okay. So after depolarization of this whole right ventricle, this left ventricle will be depolarized. So initially, as the right ventricle will be depolarized, there will be positive deflection in lead V1 and negative deflection in lead V6. Finally, through the myocardium, left ventricle will be depolarized and it will give positive deflection in lead V6 and negative deflection in lead V1. So here what is happening? W pattern in lead V1 and M pattern in lead V6, correct? So we have a mnemonic for that, and the mnemonic is William Marrow. What is that? This double L stands for left bundle branch block, and this double R stands for right bundle branch block. So this is LBBB and this is RBBB, and this one is V1 and this one is V6. So V1, V6. So in left bundle branch block, V1 will show W pattern and V6 will show M pattern. In right bundle branch block, V1 will show M pattern and V6 will show W pattern. And this bundle branch block, it occurs due to fibrosis, and it may present with white complex it may present with white QRS complex. What is white QRS complex? QRS duration is usually 0.08 second. 0.08 second, that is 2 small squares. 0.08 seconds means 2 small squares. If we call it white complex when it is more than 120 milliseconds. 120 milliseconds. Normal QRS duration is 0.08 second, that is equal to 80 millisecond, right? Okay. So with that knowledge, we are moving to another section, that is heart rate calculation. How can we calculate heart rate? So for heart rate calculation, you have to use a very simple formula. As the ECG strip is moving at a speed of 25 mm per second, so we have to divide number of small squares. We have to divide 1500 divided by number of small squares. Okay. So ECG strip is moving at a speed of 25 mm per second. 25 mm per second. So at a minute it will move 15 into 60 is equal to 1500 millimeter. Now we have to calculate the number of small squares here. So here is 5 small squares, here is another 5 small squares, here is another 5 small squares, then it is 1 small square. So 5, 5, 5, 1, 16, and here 4 small squares. So total 20. 5, 5, 5, 4, 1. So total number of small square is 20. So heart rate is 1500 divided by 20 is equal to 75 beats per minute, right? Okay, after heart rate calculation, now come to the another section, that is axis determination. Axis determination. So we have various methods for determination of cardiac axis. So first I will tell you one method that determines whether the axis is normal or not. Okay, so so you take out your 2 thumbs of your 2 hands. Okay, your left thumb is lead 1. Okay, consider your left thumb as lead 1 and right thumb as lead AVF, right? So left thumb lead 1 and right thumb is lead AVF, right? So in this ECG you can see the majority of the deflection in lead 1 is upwards. The QRS complex deflection is upwards, mainly upwards. So your left thumb will be up. Okay, now in lead 3 or in lead AVF, the majority of deflection of QRS complex is also upwards. Okay, so lead 1 upwards, lead AVF upwards. So both of your thumb, lead 1 is your left thumb, lead AVF is your right thumb. So both of thumb will be upwards, that means it is a normal axis. Now come to the second ECG. Here you can see in lead 1 the deflection is upwards, so left thumb is up, and in AVF the QRS deflection is downwards, so right thumb will be down. Okay, so the axis deviation will be towards the up thumb side. Okay, so here in this example your left thumb is up, so it is a case of left axis deviation, correct? Okay, now come to another example. Here also you can see lead 1 is up and lead AVF is down. Okay, so left thumb up, right thumb down, so it is also a case of left axis deviation. Next, in this ECG you can see lead 1, the QRS complex is down, and lead AVF complex is up. So your left thumb down, right thumb up. So which thumb is up? Right thumb up. So it is a case of right axis deviation. Again, in this example you can see lead 1. In lead 1 the majority of QRS complex is down, so left thumb is down and right thumb, that is the AVF, will be up. Okay, so it is also a case of right axis deviation. Again, see this example, lead 1 is down and lead AVF in lead AVF it is slightly up, lead AVF is slightly up, so it is also a case of right axis deviation. Okay, now come to method 2. In method 2 what we see the highest QRS complex lead and the second highest QRS complex lead. So if you see this in this ECG, so you can see the highest QRS complex here in lead 1, correct? Highest QRS complex is lead 1, and what is the second highest QRS complex? Find out what is the second highest QRS complex. Second highest QRS complex here is in second highest QRS complex is AVL. Okay, so you can see only in lead 1 and AVL the QRS complex is upwards. Okay, so lead 1 has got highest QRS complex, and lead AVL is having the second highest QRS complex. Lead AVL is having the second highest QRS complex. So that means the direction of the QRS complex, the direction of the axis will be in between lead 1 and lead AVL direction. Okay, so this is the direction of lead 1 and this is the direction of lead AVL. Okay, so lead 1 and lead AVL, so the direction will be most probably in between. Okay, the direction of the axis will be in between. Now see another example. See another example here. Yes, see this example also. Here you are getting maximum upward deflection in lead 1. Okay, maximum upward deflection is lead 1, and also no, here you can see the maximum upward deflection in lead AVL. Okay, maximum upward deflection is lead AVL, and second highest maximum deflection is lead 1. So again it will be in between lead 1 and lead AVL. Again it will be in between lead 1 and AVL. Okay. Here in this example You can see this example. In this example, the highest QRS complex is in lead 3, highest QRS complex lead 3, and second highest QRS complex is lead 2. So the direction will be in between lead 3 and lead 2. Okay, so the direction will be between, this is the direction of lead 2 and this is the direction of lead 3. So the axis will be in between lead 2 or lead 3, correct? Okay, now come to method 2. Here we can calculate cardiac axis very well and accurately, and again we have to choose two leads, that is lead 1 and lead AVF. So look at this lead 1, look at this lead 1. The lead 1, it is plus 11. Okay, the height of QRS complex in lead 1 is 11 small squares, so you can write approximately plus 11. Now look at lead AVF. Lead AVF, you can see the height is downwards 3 plus 5, that is minus 8, and upwards it is plus 1, that means it is minus 7, that means it is minus 7, the resultant is minus 7. So the axis will be tan inverse plus 11 by minus 8. You can calculate and get the angle exactly, right? Now the last method by which we can calculate cardiac axis is the exact physiological method, that is very accurate also. So again you have to draw x and y axis in this way. This is basically lead 1, and also you have to draw lead 2, also you have to draw lead 2 which is oriented at 60 degree. So this is lead 2 which is oriented at 60 degree. Also extend lead 2 in the backward direction, right? So say if in lead 1, if in lead 1 the positive deflection is, say positive deflection is 6 small squares, okay, positive deflection is 6 small squares in lead 1, and in lead 2 say positive deflection is 8 small squares and negative deflection is 2 small squares, okay. So plus 8 negative deflection minus 2, that is resultant is plus 6, okay. So lead 1 positive deflection is 6 and lead 2 also resultant deflection is plus 6. So I will mark over here 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this point lead 1, this is plus direction in lead 1, this is negative direction in lead 1, this is negative direction in lead 2, this is positive direction in lead 2, okay. Now also plus 6 in lead 2. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I will draw a vertical here, vertical line here, and also I will draw a vertical line here, and these two verticals will meet at a point, the point O. Now if I draw a line connecting the center with this meeting point, with this meeting point, it will be the cardiac axis, okay. So it is the cardiac axis, okay. And now you can calculate this angle theta, and you know that it is the positive direction and it is the negative direction. So the angle will be in plus. If it is say the angle is 40 degree, then it will be plus 40 degree, okay, and it will be a normal axis. So the last point in this session, I would like to tell you that before reporting an ECG, once you get the paper strip in your hand, always check for the validity of an ECG first, okay, the validity of an ECG first. Why I am telling validity of ECG? Validity means whether the leads of an ECG were attached in a proper fashion or not, okay, whether the leads were connected correctly or not. Okay, so let us see how to check for validity of an ECG. So if you look at this diagram, you can see that in AVR P wave is negative, okay, so this is P wave. So P wave is negative in lead AVR. Why this is negative? Because you know the direction of fast vector in heart, the direction is SA node to AV node. In this direction is the fast vector, okay. So the fast vector or the atrial vector that depolarizes the whole atria, the direction is away from lead AVR, okay. So the direction is away from lead AVR. So AVR must produce a negative P wave, okay. So AVR must produce a negative P wave. If the heart is beating in sinus rhythm, then P wave must be inverted in AVR. If it is not, then you may consider two things. One, the heart may not be beating in sinus rhythm, and second, the ECG is invalid. Why the ECG is invalid? Because the lead attachments may be incorrect, okay. So this is the final point I would like to tell you, that whenever you take an ECG strip in your hand, check the validity of the ECG, and for checking the validity of ECG, you have to look at lead AVR, where the P wave must be inverted if the heart is beating in sinus rhythm. So if P wave is not inverted in AVR, there are two possibilities: the heart is not beating in sinus rhythm, number one, and second possibility is the lead attachments were not correct, okay. So with this, we are ending this session on basics of ECG.